Hi, I want to welcome everyone and thank you for taking the time to participate in this town hall meeting. I know that all of you have been working all summer to develop a plan and create a learning environment for our students that is both welcoming and safe. It has been a very challenging summer for everyone, and I want all of you to know how much your efforts are appreciated by myself and President Gilbert. Today, I'm going to give an update on where things are in academics. Then you'll hear from staff in health and safety. You'll hear on medical issues, housing, and student affairs. There will then be an opportunity for questions. Please feel free to type questions into the chat. If we cannot get all the questions answered during the town hall, someone will follow up with you within the next day or two with an answer to your question. Now for the update on academics. As you know, we have been working throughout the summer to facilitate a safe return to full face-to-face instruction this fall. But in light of the sharp rise in COVID-19 cases across the country and in our region, we have made the difficult decision to transition more fall courses to virtual delivery than originally planned. In the face of this pandemic, our number one priority has to be the health and safety of our faculty, our staff, and our students. We want to accomplish this while providing the best academic experience possible for our students. So to review our current plan, freshmen, some graduate, and most professional students can expect some combination of face-to-face and virtual courses. It is especially important that freshmen are able to get as close to a traditional introduction to college life as possible. Your deans have been working with you to determine which courses get priority for an in-person format. Sophomores, juniors, and seniors can expect mostly virtual courses. However, hands-on courses within a student's major, let me emphasize that we're focused on the ones within the student's major, including labs, clinicals, studio classes, and some capstones, may be offered face-to-face as determined by each academic program. Our goal with this plan is to radically reduce the density inside our classrooms, hallways, buildings, and other facilities, and yet preserve as much as possible the important on-campus experience for our freshmen and our students in experiential courses. It also gives academic departments much more flexibility in how to staff sections. You may be aware that other universities are making similar announcements that include some of these priorities for certain student populations like freshmen and professional students. What makes Marshall different is that we are converting most of our face-to-face courses to a virtual synchronous format that will still enable students to interact with faculty in real time. We have talked with many other universities, and it appears we are an outlier in this, as most universities seem to be focusing their efforts on e-courses or asynchronous courses. Offering the vast majority of our courses in a face-to-face virtual format is a very important part of our plan, and it's equally important that students and their parents understand what this looked like. Last spring, when we made the sudden conversion from face-to-face to a distance format, instructors didn't have much time to adapt courses that have been designed for in-person delivery from the outset. As a result, some of our students struggled, especially our freshmen, our first generation students, and students who lack some degree of emotional maturity or time management skills. We believe the virtual or synchronous delivery of the courses will help to overcome this issue. But also, we need to be assured that virtual class sessions are running well from a technology standpoint. Having enough bandwidth will be crucial. This is why we are recommending that faculty who teach virtual courses do it either from the classroom or from their offices while connected to the Marshall network. If you teach from home, you'll need to be 100% certain that your students are not struggling to hear or see you clearly because your bandwidth is low. Online learning and IT are also in the process of setting up learning centers across campus for students to use as they participate in virtual courses. We're dialing up as much bandwidth as in order to make a campus, in effect, a hub for virtual distance learning. You may have noticed in last week's announcement that we included a mock-up photo of what synchronous teaching and learning might look like, because many of our students are probably nervous about being back online again this fall. We've heard this from many parents and from students. We only had about an hour to get that photo shoot together with Katarina Schrey, but what we'd like to ask you to do now is talk to some of your faculty who are in town right now and see if anyone would participate in a similar photo campaign. It'd be great to get different examples from different departments and disciplines showing what a synchronous lecture looks like or a synchronous demonstration looks like. Or what about discussion-based courses with the Brady Bunch grid or a mini lecture using a document camera that projects what a professor is writing in real time. Because Marshall may be an outlier in choosing to go virtual instead of asynchronous online, we may also be able to use this plan as a recruiting opportunity or as a way to bring back students who have stopped out and no longer live nearby. And some professional students from other institutions in the state are already making inquiries about our face-to-face laboratories. So we may be getting some transition student enrollment as well. If nothing else, what this continues to do is shows how much faculty and staff here care about students and care about their learning experience and want to make sure that is a great learning experience for those students. Just a quick point about document cameras for certain disciplines. In my experience, document cameras are a very low-tech way to convert an instructor's writing into digital format. So keep that in mind for some of your faculty who are more accustomed to using whiteboards or chalkboards than PowerPoint and electronic whiteboards. Please work with your deans if you would like to have document cameras available in certain classrooms. I know some have been ordered and distributed to business and science, specifically finance, economics, and mathematics. Students will be able to log into MyMU on Friday and check their course schedule for instruction about courses are face-to-face and which courses are virtual or online. Look in the chat right now. Actually, it's up on the screen. Sherry is displaying a screenshot of a sample student schedule so you can see how this will look from the student's perspective. Please get with Sherry if you have any remaining questions about how to code your courses. We need to have all course changes information into the registrar by the end of business tomorrow. I would also like to point out that Marshall University is not planning to try to phase more students on campus for face-to-face instruction as the semester goes on, as WVU has said that they are going to. Our goal is to get through the semester with a consistent mode of instruction. We do not want to cause any unnecessary disruption in the classroom. The exception would be if we have an outbreak and have to move more students to virtual instructions, not the other way around. So now let me say just a few words about safety in the classroom. Students will be required to wear a face covering in all buildings and classrooms. A face covering could be a mask or a face shield, whichever the student is more comfortable with. Students will be required to sign a form stating they will follow safety requirements during the semester. If they prefer not to sign the agreement, we will ask them to take all courses at a distance. Since so many of the courses are now being converted to a virtual format, this will probably be fairly easy to manage. But if some face-to-face labs or clinicals are involved, the decision not to wear a mask on campus could delay the student's progress. If you're alone in your office, you do not need to wear a face covering. Again, a face covering could be a mask or a shield, whatever you're more comfortable with. Your deans will be coordinating mask or shield distribution in your colleges. And as a matter of fact, I encourage you as a faculty member or your faculty to have both a mask and a shield. That way they can try both of them out and see which they're most comfortable with. Once in the classroom, the instructor might stand behind the installed plexiglass barrier and remove the face covering so that students can see facial expression, read lips, things of that nature. But instructors who prefer to walk around the room or sit with the students in a discussion format will wear a face, their face shields or a face mask. Again, all rooms will be set up for a maximum of half capacity. Also note that IT purchased 100 personal voice amplifiers. Those amplifiers can be checked out for the year should the plexiglass barrier or the face shield make it hard for students in the classroom to hear a faculty member's voice. I'm now going to turn it over to actually not Tracy Smith, but Tracy Smith's stand-in. Go ahead.
Hello, everyone. My name is Daniel Persinger with Environmental Health and Safety, and good afternoon. I want to thank everyone for taking the time to participate on this call. As we all know, it's been a very challenging time here at Marshall. And again, I want to thank everyone on this call for their commitment, communication, and cooperation as we have progressed to this point in time. I'm extremely pleased with what we have accomplished to date. As you're aware, we've been working since mid-April on plans to attempt to return to face-to-face instruction. During that time, we've created 2 guidance documents. One was phased to return to work plan, and the other was a more comprehensive plan that covers all university functions. As you know, as we move closer to the start of the fall semester, we had to pivot just a little bit by reducing the number of face-to-face classes. For those courses that will be taught face-to-face, please note that there are protocols in place to reduce the risk of potential exposure greatly. Reduce capacity of the classrooms by 50%. We've installed plexiglass shields, and we're requiring face coverings to be worn by all faculty and students and staff. All students will receive 2 cloth face coverings. We will have vending machines throughout the campus where face coverings may be purchased if someone forgets or misplaces theirs. All faculty and staff will receive 2 cloth face coverings and a face shield. The choice is up to you which one you want to use. We also will be requiring students to use a daily wellness application to track their health. Along with this application, there will be an event pass. The event pass is based on the answers to the screening questions. If there are no issues, the users will receive a green pass and may proceed. If there are problems, then the user will receive a red pass, which means they are not permitted to enter. This event pass will be used to enter certain buildings, areas, or events on campus. We are currently working on this part of the application right now, and the details of that will be forthcoming. If there are issues reported in the app, then certain people are notified and the users are contacted for follow-up and possible referral for testing. Speaking of the testing, we will be testing all students, faculty, and staff. We currently have plans in place to test our athletes, students in the residence halls, out-of-state students, and all international students during our move-in process, which begins August 15th. We are currently working on the plan for testing for faculty, staff, and all other students right now. And once those plans are finalized, everyone will be notified. Positive cases, how to address those. Marshall, we've collaborated with the Cabell County Health Department, the School of Medicine, and Marshall Health to deliver appropriate protocols for case management and contact tracing for cases that may occur on campus. All contacts received by the university will indicate that a potential exposure to COVID-19 will be immediately traced by trained public health contact tracers from our campus. Immediate actions to isolate individuals will be implemented. Marshall University has designated an on-campus isolation area for persons residing in housing and residence halls. Those students living off campus will be offered on-campus isolation on a case-by-case scenario. If you're notified of a student or employee that becomes positive, please notify your supervisor, Bruce Felder, the Environmental Health and Safety Office, or Leah Tolliver, so we can follow up and begin contact tracing. Please encourage your faculty to encourage students to sit in the same seats every day. While we are not requiring assigned seating, this will still be very helpful for any tracing that may occur. If one of your students were to become infected, there's very little chance that an entire class will be asked to quarantine. If everyone is in class wearing a face covering, it is very likely that the only person who will be removed from class and is placed in isolation is going to be the positive student. This is why compliance with our protocols are very important. Again, we can provide you with a safe work site and a place to teach, as well as the tools, the knowledge, and information to do so, but it is your individual responsibility to take ownership of your own safety and health and comply. We appreciate everyone's commitment to doing their part, and I thank you for participating today. With that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Bailey in the physical plant.
All right. Thank you, Daniel. I just wanted to touch on a couple items, approximately about 4 or 5 on my agenda, just to give everyone an idea of what we've been doing since we've all kind of left campus. How have we started returning back to campus? In the physical plant, we've been extremely busy, but we're excited for what we've done and where we're heading. Some of the things that we've done, Daniel has mentioned, and I'll just explain a little bit more. We ended up putting in, we're calling them barriers, sneeze guards. We're using the term plexiglass, but it's actually the actual brand is Lexan. But these barriers have gone into every classroom, and what that entails is most classrooms, depending on the size and the shape of the classroom, each classroom is getting 2 suspended barriers. They range from either a 2-foot by 4-foot barrier or a 3-foot by 4-foot barrier, depending again on the size of the podium, the layout of the room. And the physical plant has gone through every classroom that we have. We've received the list from the registrar. We took that list and we walked through, and we have installed these barriers in every classroom. So we are done, besides the actual one-off classrooms, ones that we thought, maybe they only needed 1 and faculty decides we need 2. We're willing to work with everyone to make sure that everyone feels safe and secure in that classroom. But at this point, I am glad to say that we have achieved completion of the classrooms, besides maybe if we've missed 1 or 2, because we ended up rounding up to about 300 classrooms is what we had to install these plexiglass or these Lexan barriers. So we're up and running. We're excited, and I think we're ready for those for the barriers. In addition to the barriers, we've gone in. Let me go back to the barriers. So that's just classrooms. Then we ended up making over 300 barriers, sneeze guards for office and administrative settings. And at this point, we are successfully done with those work orders. We've asked everybody to put in a work order that needed a barrier. And we have finalized or completed our last work order. And I say that with caution because as you finish and people come back, more people come back, we received a couple more today. But the bulk of work orders for these office barriers, they are complete as well. So our carpenters, a team of about 5 individuals, worked hard. They worked a lot of overtime to get these classrooms and office settings ready so people can feel more protected, feel safer. And that was our whole goal. So classrooms and office settings, most, if not all, are completed. So we are happy to say that. Another thing that we did for the classrooms is, as Daniel was saying, we went to a 50% capacity, and now that's challenging because our original goal was to remove these seats, and that way the classrooms looked a little bit more, let's say, even maybe presentable. But when you really start doing the math and you do a 50%, where are you going to take the other 50% of the chairs? So what we ended up doing is for the chairs that have casters, we were able to zip tie 2 chairs together, and only 1 student can sit per pair of chairs. If you haven't been on campus yet, when you do come on, you'll see that these caster chairs are zip tied. And then the other chairs, that with the student that sits in the one, you have that remaining chair that's open. We will go through, and we haven't done this yet, but we'll put a sticker on one of those chairs that says "Do not sit here," and that will help with the spacing of the room. That's one of our best options. Now, the rooms that have older chairs that are more what I would call even the traditional tablet type chairs that I used when I was here. We took those and pulled them off to the side, and we left the ones that could be sat in in the classroom, and then we pulled the other 50% off to the side, and those are either tied together so a student can't just pull them out or drag them out, but they have either a board slid in to lock them all in place, or they're zip tied together so they can't be used. So you don't walk into a classroom and you see that there's more than 50% seating in that classroom. All buildings have been done. The exceptions to that would be Biotech, Henderson, and Gullickson. Those were a little bit more challenging, so we're going to walk through those tomorrow and finalize those and get that way we can say all classrooms have been arranged. The fixed seating ones, when I think of fixed seating, I think of Science Building is number one, Smith Hall 154, the fixed seating where you cannot move the chairs. What we will be doing, we haven't received them yet, but we're going to go through, just like we are going to do with the caster chairs, and place stickers on the chairs that we do not want students to sit in. So the stickers are very nice. UCOM has a model on their website, but it says do not sit. So once we receive those, and I believe those are to be here tomorrow, we will start installing those stickers. That way it makes it easier for faculty to see, hey, you don't need to be sitting there. We need to create as much space as we can. So, you know, the barriers in the classroom and the classroom seating, those are the two big things that we've been working on. Other things that we are getting ready to complete, we were able, Clorox wipes and disinfectant wipes have been very difficult to find, but we did find a vendor that offers basically, it's a bucket that has 500 wipes in them. And now we have to pour in the disinfectant. So we've already installed the bucket wipe holders. And if you've been in your buildings, you may have seen a black ring that's on your walls, and then they have a sign over top. That's where the bucket's going to set down in. And what will happen is once we get the buckets, which those should be in, it was estimated August 17th, we'll fill those up, then we'll put them in the ring, and those buckets are dispensers. So you just pull the wipes out of the top of the buckets, and these will be installed 2 buckets per floor per academic building, and that way the students can take a disinfectant wipe, pull it out, take it to their seat or the class that they're getting ready to meet in. They can wipe down their seating area, their work area, whatever they need to do to feel comfortable, and then they have a nice, clean, disinfected area. These have been installed in basically every building besides Drinko and Applied Engineering. Now, we're working in Applied Engineering today, so it may be completed, but as of this meeting, I hadn't got a confirmation that it was completed. And then Drinko, we walked through Drinko. We've marked where the buckets are to be. We've talked to the staff there. So Drinko will have their bucket holders hung by the end of this week. That is our goal. And finally, what we've been working on is signage. If you've been in Corbly, Harris, Science, the first floors only, we've been working on how to direct traffic, the exit, inner doors, one-way hallways, or a hallway, especially like Harris or Corbly, you only have one hallway, so it's bi-directional, but you know, stay to the right when you're walking down that hallway is the best way to think about it. But there's arrows that's going to help direct traffic. Steps, every stairwell will be marked either up or down. But with the magnitude of this, what we're trying to do first is get the first floor done, make sure we're comfortable with it, on how the traffic is being directed, and then we'll start working up on each floor. So every floor will have directional signage. It's just right now we're doing the first floor because when you really start thinking about it, you think, it's going to be easy, but no building is the same. So it's not a cookie cutter recipe. So we have to roll with the punches for every building. But like I said, if you want to see some examples, Corbly, Science, and Harris are ones done as of right now. We just got the signage last week, so we started it late last week, early this week to get those buildings done. So, but every floor will be marked, but we want to go and get through the first floor or second floor because Smith and Science is a different layout. People can come in on the first and second floor. So we're doing those 2 floors in those buildings. But stay tuned. We'll get more signage up. And if you have any questions, just let me know. Now I will pass it over to, I think it's Bruce. Yes, Bruce.
Thank you, Mr. Bailey. Again, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Bruce Felder. I'm the Director of Human Resource Services here at Marshall University. There's a couple of topics I want to speak with you about today, and then I'll turn it over to our next presenter. First thing I want to talk about is the attestation form. We have an attestation form in our Return to Campus Guide. This form was basically a form used for employees and faculty to attest that they're going to do a few things. And basically all we're asking is that you attest that you will notify your supervisor and human resources and health and safety and Leah Tolliver in our student health and safety area if you exhibit any symptoms of COVID-19 and if you have any travel plans where you're traveling outside of the area, that you're just basically going to attest that you're going to complete our travel registry and notify us in the event that you are exposed or a member that you live with in your family is exposed to COVID-19. So again, that attestation form is in our Return to Campus Guide. I believe it's on page 17. If we have time when I finish my presentation, I will upload it to the comment box for you to see it there if somebody doesn't already beat me in that upload. Second thing is the student COVID-19 app that Daniel Persinger spoke of earlier in the presentation. This same app we're going to be using for faculty and staff as well, but we're going to be using it in a slightly different way. In the event that you or a member of your family come in contact with COVID-19, we want you to use this app to report your day-to-day symptoms and to receive instructions on what needs to be done. So as soon as you make that phone call to your supervisor and or to myself or Travis or Leah Tolliver, we're going to instruct you about how to download this app to your telephone or your mobile device so you can stay in contact with us about your conditions, and so we can provide that support to you during your period of time. Next thing I want to talk about is flexibility. Provost Taylor had already spoke about flexibility that is being extended to faculty. This flexibility centers around synchronous teaching. If you are able to teach from the classroom and also from your home with a great bandwidth signal that does not provide any disturbance to the student or the learning environment, you know, he's basically already said, hey, he's okay with that. Academic Affairs is okay with that. And that in itself is a flexibility that is being granted to faculty because it's basically it's allowing you to perform the essential function of the job and minimize your footprint on campus. Now, in addition to that flexibility, some people say, well, you know, Mr. Felder, that's not enough. I'm going to need more. Anything above that is going to require a ADA accommodation, an accommodation to have something more than that that has been approved under the Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990 and the Americans with Disabilities Amendment Act of 2008. So we'll be working with anybody who think that they need more than that flexibility. But again, we're only granting those additional flexibilities if they do not pose a undue hardship to your department and or to the university. We believe that this synchronous flexibility that has been granted will cover 99% of these flexibilities and accommodations. Next thing I want to talk about is teleworking for staff. You may have some staff members who are going to be supporting you as the faculty member. Just like faculty members have been given some flexibility, staff has also asked for a level of flexibility. Now, we held the bar high for them, saying that if they have some type of comorbidity or an underlying condition that has been identified by the CDC as putting them into a high-risk category, we're trying to work with those staff as much as we possibly can to ensure that they can still be here and support the staff and the mission of the departments and the units while also giving themselves an extra level of flexibility and safety that they may need because of their comorbidities or underlying conditions. So please understand, as you come back on campus, you may have a a staff member who was your direct support or somebody that supported you, they may only be on campus 3 days a week, and they may be at home 2 days a week doing some type of remote working. So it may be a different workaround to get to them, but I assure you that they should provide the same level of service to you that they have always had. And if that becomes a problem, I want you to report that to your chair, to your dean, so we can get with those employees and make sure that they cover down on anything that is missing. Again, we're trying to provide flexibility, but essential job functions still have to be met regardless of what that flexibility or ADA accommodation may be. Next thing I want to talk about is wearing masks, face protection, and social distancing. Unfortunately, we're not going to hire any, face shield cops or any mask cops or anything like that, but we are all going to take responsibility to police one another. I will be here to help you if you witness another staff member, another faculty member, a student who is not following these guidelines or protocols. Please reach out to me. Let me know. We have already had to do this, and I don't mind to do it as part of being the HR guy. We will reach out to them folks and we will put them on notice that this is an absolute necessity to the success of our campus, to the success of our fall semester. You have to follow these protocols. And if you're not willing to do that, then we're going to have to come up with some other options. Now, I'll let you figure out the blanks and all that type of stuff, what those options are. But this is something that we cannot tolerate. We absolutely have to find a way to keep people safe, and wearing masks, social distancing, and the face shields are essential. Last thing, as we come back in the fall, we may not have seen each other for a while, may miss each other, may want to socialize, all of these type of things. You know how we do. But please, no potluck dinners, no potluck luncheons, no big birthday events where we're having kind of these parties in the break room. We absolutely cannot do that. Again, be very cognizant and be very mindful of the social distancing and things that have gotten us in trouble. The backyard barbecues, the weddings, the funerals, all of those things that was made social distancing difficult. Let's not make it difficult here on campus. So be very mindful of anybody who wants to host a potluck dinner or a luncheon or breakfast. We want to minimize that at all costs. No sharing of utensils and food items and all of that type of stuff. So again, those are the things that I wanted to talk about. And at this point, I believe I am going to turn it over to Leah Payne.
Hi, Bruce. We're actually now into the Q&A portion of our town hall. And so good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for participating in today's town hall. At the time of registration, several attendees submitted questions in advance of today's session. We will respond to those questions first and then address questions submitted as time allows this afternoon. If we are unable to respond to questions, please email the return-to-work@marshall.edu and a response will be provided to you in a timely fashion in the next couple of days. Several of the questions that were submitted were answered through today's presentations. Here's a question for Dr. Taylor or Dr. Smith. How do we help students who have internet issues?
I'll go ahead and take that one. This is Jaime Taylor. My recommendation is to have those students contact either IT or online learning. And what we did basically in the spring is we tried to, there's a couple options. Back in the spring, it was a little more difficult because the entire state was shut down. And so the only option was to give them a MiFi hotspot to take with them. Right now, there is going to be numerous hotspots set up around the state of West Virginia. The governor is working on having 1,000 of those hotspots set up, and they're purposely being set up for K through 12th education and higher education for students, staff, and anybody else that needs to use it for educational purposes. And so both IT and our online learning center will have know where those hotspots are and have options for those students. I'll turn it back to you, Brandy. Yeah.
Thank you, Provost Taylor. This one is for environmental health and safety, Daniel Persinger. The individual questions or wants information about what is the efficient and proper way to report a person who has a positive case of coronavirus in our office and classrooms. I think you touched on this, but would you mind sharing that one more time, the proper way to report someone who has tested positive?
Yes, well, thank you. You would want to inform your supervisor and human resources and contact environmental health and safety office. And then at that time, we will begin the contact tracing for those individuals that may have been in close contact with the positive case. Thank you.
Thank you. Here's another question, and we've already published one, but here's another question. How do we enforce or handle a situation where students are walking throughout the halls of a building, not in class and not wearing a mask? Are we obligated to address this, or are we only obligated to control the classroom environment? And this question's up for Bruce, for Jaime, or for Daniel.
Well, I'll start off. Again, I think it's everybody's responsibility, including students policing other students. Again, faculty policing faculty, staff policing faculty, faculty policing staff. Everybody's a safety officer in this case. Every single body is a safety officer. If you witness someone not wearing the mask, simply say, reminder, hey, you know, we wear masks around here. If you know the person's name and you see that they're a habitual abuser, you continue to notice that they're not wearing that mask, please report them to me, Human Resources. If it's students, if you know their name, you know, I'll get with Student Affairs and we'll track them down. But again, we all have to be safety officers in this case. If it's in your classroom, you definitely have the, you know, domicile to do something more about it there. But in the hallway, you may not know these folks. A simple gesture saying that, hey, we need to put our mask on. It's kind of easy at first, you know, to forget, but a little muscle memory after doing this, have been on campus for a while now, and it's second nature to us.
Yeah, I'll follow up with Bruce. This is Jaime Taylor. I'll follow up on Bruce's statement. I think we can be kind of pleasant about this when we interact with people. As Bruce said, on the very early part of this, it's very easy for people to forget their mask, especially if they don't have it on when they're sitting in their office. They walk out, they're going down the hall to grab something, they realize they don't have it. So don't, you know, hit somebody real hard the first time you see it. But as Bruce said, if it becomes clearly that this person is just refusing to wear the mask, then we have to take it to the next level and probably report them. In terms of students, again, students are going to be required to sign a statement saying that they will follow safety protocols and that they will be wearing masks. And so don't really anticipate those students that are going to refuse to wear masks. My suspicion is that there might be something where somebody walks out of a space and forgets to put it on or so forth. But I think we you know, our police officers can't be at all places at all times on campus. You can't expect other people to be there. Everybody kind of has to put some effort into helping to make sure that people are wearing masks.
And I would like to follow up with that one too. Again, the theme is, you know, personal accountability, personal responsibility. You know, and it's very, you know, easy for all of us to, you know, again, like Dr. Taylor said, you know, step away from the desk, you know, and just run to the restroom and forget to have it on. So a lot of times, you know, just a courteous reminder to them, and a lot of it is, you know, it's you know, innocent. They do forget. But if we do have a situation to where it's, you know, a continual habit or whatever, again, feel free to report it to Environmental Health and Safety, Human Resources, you know, and we will try to follow up. If anybody is familiar with the Environmental Health and Safety website, you know, off the main Marshall page, there is a place there you can do an anonymous safety concern, and we do encourage anyone there to submit that, and we will do some follow up on that. If it looks like there is an issue there too, we'll, you know, send it. No, we will definitely check it out and do our best to ensure that everybody is wearing a mask.
Thank you all for your responses. Another question that was submitted: how are we going to assist students in practicing safety in the dorms and sorority fraternity housing? Anyone like to respond to that?
Repeat that one more time, Randy. This is Jaime.
Sure. How are we going to assist students in practicing safety in the dorms, the residence halls, and in the sorority and fraternity housing?
I'll say a few words about the sorority and fraternity housing, since that's the more difficult one for us. This is something that President Gilbert and I have been primarily concerned about. Basically, those activities of students off campus after hours. We do have control over the sorority and the fraternities, and Vice President Maurice Cooley has been working on that all summer to have some process for making sure that they practice social distancing in those areas. We've also Jim Terry, Chief Terry, has been working with the city. We actually had another meeting this afternoon, and he is working with the public health to make sure that the bars are safe, that they're at the proper capacity, and trying to create some venues for students to go to with safe social distancing. Basically trying to create safe environments throughout the city, or a controlled environment, so that there aren't, I would say, parties breaking out in other locations. I'm going to have to leave it if maybe somebody else could talk. There's been a lot of effort put into the dormitories over the summer, but it might be that somebody else can do a better job of answering what they're doing there.
In the absence of Misty Beebe or someone from Housing and Residence Life, I can speak to that quickly. We have provided more options of singles for our residents in the residence halls, both first-year residence hall and all of our on-campus housing. Additionally, students will have the option of deferring moving into the residence hall until the spring semester if they would feel more comfortable with that. For those rooms where there will be 2 individuals in the room, we have purchased plastic barriers to separate the living spaces as well. So we have provided additional single facilities. Students have the options to defer their housing until the spring, and then we've also provided additional barriers, as well as the sanitizing, disinfecting, and sanitizing of high touch points, similar to what Travis Bailey shared with Physical Plant. That same activity and action will take place with our campus service workers and professionals in Housing and Residence Life. Other questions that we've received. How transparent is the university, including athletics, being about numbers? And I believe this is the reporting of positive cases on campus. Both parties have conflicts of interest when it comes to transparency and truth and reporting case numbers, severity, and tracing. Would anyone like to speak to that? Daniel, by any chance?
Any positive cases of COVID-19 is a direct report to the Cabell County Health Department. They coordinate, all the numbers, and we work in collaboration with the health department and handle the contact tracing part of it. But any healthcare provider right now that receives a positive sample, just like any other type of outbreak, they do send that information to the county health department, and we are actually contacted by the health department for the positive cases. We're being as transparent as we can. I believe there is a weekly there's definitely a total of numbers of positive cases that is put out with I think University Communications. It shows how many we've tested and the positive cases and the numbers recovered, and we're being as transparent as we can with that.
Thank you, Daniel. We received a question. I am concerned that the 10 minutes between the on-the-hour classes on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, for example, will not be enough time for students to leave the classroom and for another class to start on time. Provost Taylor or Travis, would either one of you like to speak to our approach with getting students to and from class in time, and then also the disinfecting of the space and the personal responsibility of the students?
This is Jaime Taylor. I'll start on that. This is something that we had, Associate Provost Sherry Smith and I had met with several provosts at different universities and talked about what their plans were. We had initially talked about some ideas of increasing the time between classes and found out that none of the other universities were doing that. What they were focusing on was basically traffic flow. And so if you go in the buildings now, you'll see that the signs are starting to be put up showing which way traffic should flow between classes, so that students are, in one particular direction or the other. I was much more concerned about this when we're bringing 100% of the students back to campus. I think now that we've de-densified the campus with only bringing back the freshmen and those students taking labs and clinicals and studios, I really don't think this will be nearly as much of an issue. Either Daniel or Travis can talk to some of the work that's been done in terms of traffic flow.
So yeah, thank you, Dr. Taylor. I'm with Dr. Taylor. Dr. Taylor and I even sat down and talked about increasing the time and how it was going to be difficult to do that. So then we talked about even should we have our employees or our contract cleaners go in after each class and do it. And right, 10 minutes in between classes, not a lot of time. So that's where we came into play. Or the disinfectant wipes came into play, and the students can be responsible for their work area, to clean their work area. So when they come up to whatever floor their class is on, the buckets are positioned as well as we could, close to the upstairs, the stairwells that go up, close to elevators, on each side, each end of the hallway. For the students to grab their disinfectant wipe, take it to their classroom and disinfect their area. The disinfectant that we have is a 1-minute contact time, so they can wipe their area down, and really by the time they wipe their area down, throw their disinfectant wipe away and then come back, their area is clean. So that was our best option, and we do feel confident with that one.
Thank you. Daniel, did you have anything that you wanted to add to that?
You're on mute, Daniel.
No, all good. Thank you. Sorry.
Okay. Thank you. Here's a question that was submitted just this afternoon. Do we have an ETA on when masks and face shields will be available to faculty?
So go ahead, Daniel.
Well, we have currently distributed, I think, Travis, correct me if I'm wrong, over 2,000 cloth masks. We are currently working with a local vendor to continuously screen print our cloth masks to have them ready to go. I believe there was a distribution last week of the cloth mask, and there'll be one in the near future. But it is, as soon as we get them, we are trying to pass them out. As a reminder, send the request for the mask. I think it's the return to work email. That's where they're going, and the physical plan is handling the distribution of that. I don't have the exact numbers for the total, the black cloth mask we're going to give for the Falconia staff, but we've ordered thousands. In terms of the masks for the students, we've received over 15,000 the white cloth masks that we will hand out to the students. Those will also be screen printed with the Marshall logo, and our local vendor is helping us out with that currently too.
So let me add a little bit to that. With the masks, for the black mask with the white imprinted Marshall, that's been a challenge with those. It's just supply, getting those in, and it's kind of, I guess it's kind of funny when you think about some of the masks that we ordered just to show that it's 2020 were derailed on a train, so they postponed our delivery time. So it's been a challenge getting those masks in, and they are in at this point. I met with the Dean's Council this morning to talk about, for the faculty, for them to get their masks, what we're going to do is have them work with their deans. The deans of each college is supposed to get us a total of who has not received cloth masks or a return to work kit. Now, the original return to work kit, and we're still handing them out, contained 5 disposable masks and a bottle of hand sanitizer. So we told the deans, if any of your faculty have not received a return to work kit, please let us know, give us a count. Please give us a count on how many faculty have not received black cloth masks so we can get that in order. And then how many faculty prefer a face shield or would like to have a face shield. So we are just now waiting on the deans to get a tally on all 3, the return to work kits, the black cloth masks, and the face shields. As soon as we get that, we will deliver those to the deans and then they can distribute to whoever needed them at the time. So that is that just came about today. So the deans are getting all their numbers. They didn't truly give a date on when they were going to get those numbers in, but I foresee that they'll be coming in or probably contacting you all to see who needs what. And once we get those numbers, then we'll drop them off to the deans for you.
Thank you all. We're actually now in our final 3 minutes of today's town hall. We have time for one more question and any closing remarks that presenters would like to make. Janet Dooley asked, every year we have significant cold and flu cases, and those present symptoms similar to COVID. Do we treat all symptoms as potential COVID cases? We open this up to Daniel Persinger.
Make sure I was unmuted, sorry. This is where our health and wellness screen app is going to play an integral part of our contact tracing and how we handle it. Part of the wellness app, and I'll try to be as quick as we can, part of the wellness app, we will identify symptoms related to and have been identified as COVID related. As you fill that out, you may have something that's somewhat related to a cold and it may not check all the boxes of COVID. It will still flag it and it will send information to our contact tracers who then we will follow up with that person and do a little more digging. And depending on what we can find out, we may refer to testing. We may just refer to you to monitor symptoms for the next 10 to 14 days. But that's where our wellness app is really going to play a role in trying to identify any positive cases on campus.
Yeah, from an HR standpoint, to piggyback on that as well, if any employee this fall presents sick, we're asking them to stay at home. I don't care if you think you got the flu or the COVID or whatever it is, you need to stay at home until it's identified what that is.
All right, Brandy, this is Jaime. Would you like me to say a few closing remarks before we get off?
Yes, sir. Please do.
Okay. I just want to thank everybody, starting all the way back from when this started back in March. It seems like it was a very long time ago when we had the spring semester. We got through that extremely well. I also want to make, there's been a tremendous amount of work that's been done this summer. I want to make sure everybody recognizes that we're at the senior VP's level, President Gilbert, myself, we're really trying hard to make the best decisions as we move forward, and we're trying to make decisions that will last a long time. It's tough because the environment is continually changing, but we're trying to make decisions that we make it this week and next week we change. We're trying to get to some things because we know every time we change our plan, just like we did last week, that means everybody's got to work and everybody's got to move forward. So one thing I want to just say is I appreciate your patience and your willingness to understand and just, again, the amount of work you're doing and the care that you're putting towards your students. Associate Provost Sherry Smith just shared with me yesterday the retention numbers. Our retention numbers, even after the announcement was made yesterday, look incredibly strong. My belief is that's due to the fact that these students know that all of you care about them and that you're trying to create not just a safe environment for them, but an environment where they can learn. And that is starting to show in terms of what we're hearing from the parents and students. So thanks for all you're doing. It's very much appreciated. And I hope we have a very good semester. All right, I guess with that,